Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie, and I will be your guide for today. Today, we're going to channel some messages through, and that will be about the ancestral calling that I was just told about by Earth and the Pleiadians. So I am actually in New Zealand at the moment with my parents who are having their 60th wedding anniversary. They have never split up. They're so beautiful. I'm so lucky to have parents that love each other so much. And yeah, so I'm over here in New Zealand for that before I head off to New York to do channeling over in New York. Um, yeah, it's going to be quite a journey. My guides are taking me somewhere, are taking me somewhere. And here we are. So I'm actually in a little caravan. This is my parents' caravan. So I've like got my own little beautiful space here. It's very nice. I'm really lucky. Excited about that. Yeah, so that's where that's at. Now I just opened up uh, my Zoom calls, my readings. If you want to have a one-on-one reading with me, then that is all open back up again. I just had to figure out the timing difference and so forth. So it's like 10 a.m. here, where in Australia it was 7 a.m. And yeah, just a bit of a time difference. I had to figure all that out first. So that's all open again if you want to have a reading with me. And yeah, I think that's about it. Other than the school AMAKEL is still running. If you want to join in with that, lots and lots of telepathic games and that sort of thing. Okay. I'm going to just tune in a bit here before I go into the channeling. I'm hoping that this is all going good because this is a new connection. Obviously, now that I'm in the camper van outside the home, so I'm hoping that it's all kosher. And also, I think the timing is a bit different. I've just got to get used to that. But any case, we will carry on. So I want to just tune into Mother Earth and that. Now, what happened was I came to New Zealand and I started to get these messages of returning home, and then the ancestral calling. And I want to share some of that's going on. The first thing I was taken to was the ancestral calling of Lemuria, Mu, and and also some would be called to the Avalon, which is a interdimensional space, just like a Lemuria and Mu. When Lemuria actually broke up, they went sailing off to find a specific home, and they used their own, abilities, which was all to do with connection and their abilities to be able to understand the crystals, the ley lines, Mother Earth, their own technology. They had their own way of handling their own visions from within themselves, which reflected outside themselves. And so then they went for a journey and they found Mount Shasta. Shasta, I hope I'm saying that right. And then they ended up going interdimensional, and that created another space within that mountain that was of a different frequency where they could reside, and that was called Talos. So these ancestral callings could be that you as a specific soul came straight from there, and excuse my throat, and you are now being asked through these moments, through these times, these timelines at the moment, to awaken that coding within you. But there's a real specific, like when Earth comes through, she really starts to come through with this wisdom of, do not try to recreate the past. Really stay in the present and connect through your own awakening of the codes, or your awakening of the feeling that you have with the land that you're on, because you might be led somewhere that is conducive to even more awakening. and remembering. And you will see that as you walk the path through from your own perspective, this feels different, or this looks different, or there's something that you might be taken to a space where there's a lot of growth in the forest or something, or you're like, for some reason it becomes like you're conscious of it. You might tell somebody else and they'll go, "Oh, whatever, there's nothing different here than that part of the forest and this part of the forest and all that sort of thing," but you feel it. Or you might come across a river and there's just an alignment of a feeling. The reason why they're bringing me to that and that ancestral calling is that if you sit in presentness in that moment of that land, there could be even more awakening, and that's what they're bringing. Well, Mother Earth is bringing you to, and it was always going to happen for you anyway. They're showing me mountains, specific rivers, and there's an alignment, and they're also showing me Lemuria and the explosion that happened, like the souls flew off into other areas, countries even, and were born in those countries, but they've still got the spark or the essence of Lemuria within them, because they died, then they would be reborn further out, or because the actual land sunk, the soul had to find another land. So it's kind of like an explosion of souls out to other lands, Hawaii, Fiji, Madagascar. They're bringing up these sort of, the Incas. Yeah, they're bringing up that sort of lands, and returning home is a big message at the moment, to gain perspective of who you really are, the welcoming that the land that you were born at. Now, I know that I've returned home, but they want me to bring this through because some of us will have to return home to gain better perspective, because when we left, we were in denial of ourselves, and then we learnt a lot, shadow work, all that sort of stuff. And then when you come back, there's a new perspective that couldn't be ignited before you left, but will be ignited when you return. I'm not saying that everyone that's watching is going to return home if they're, in another country or whatever, but there are those that will be called to do that as part of the calling for that specific soul. If you don't feel like returning home, then do not return home, just because I'm saying it, or it's channeled through. You must follow your instincts, your soul's calling for yourself. But they're giving me a reason why that can happen sometimes. Because when you were born in a specific country, it's not only your parents that allowed you, like your parents had the energy alignment for you to be birthed. It was also the land, because the land nurtured you. The land gave you the water, the food, and all that sort of stuff. There was an integration of when you decided, especially if you're a starseed coming from somewhere else, and you decided to come be born as a human, then you would have already had this integration of, for me, it was New Zealand, obviously. So New Zealand went, welcome. I would like to nourish you. The land would like to nourish me. And there was this feeling that I got, that overwhelming feeling of love, which I've never felt before with New Zealand. And I just started to cry because it became so emotional, that I didn't feel that before, when I was born, and so forth. And now I feel it. So it's an integration of the land with you as well. Not to say that, you might not stay here, but there's something that's needed to be integrated before you do this next calling, which is of a mission or something like that. And that's why they're calling it an ancestral calling, because it's to do with the land. if you are where you are at and you're not where you were born, but you feel a real calling to stay there, go out to the land, sit on the land, and just harmonize with it. I'm sure a lot of you already do this sort of thing anyway. The sunsets are showing me sunsets and sunrises is a really good time to do that. And you will feel this calling for yourself as well. It's an awakening of a DNA. It's a spark or a light of consciousness where more light, love can be infused. And that reminds you or gives you memory of your missions, more to do with the mission here and the now, here and the now. Okay. Hey, Tonian, pronounced Tonian. Tonian. Oh, I nearly got it right. Tony. Just call me Tony. Good to see you. And Annie. No, my chat bar is not moving up, so I can only just see you. Anyways, yeah, all the way from New Zealand. Hey there. Now, there's something else that came through when I was, usually what happens is I'm like, okay, ancestral calling, that's interesting. And then I was taken to Lemuria. But the more I kind of forced looking at, like I opened up a couple of Lemuria things logically, I just did that and it just didn't work. But this morning I was taken to a video that had nothing to do with Lemuria at all. But now I totally understand why. I'm going to put the link down below because this is a beautiful video that I found, well, just happened upon on my homepage of my YouTube. And it was taking me to a tribe called I'm gonna say this wrong, but it's spelled Piranha with a little wiggle, and they say it like patana, like it has a T in it, like patana, from the Amazon. And there was a really good reason why they brought me that, and this is to do with the ancestral calling as well. So these people were, missionaries came, tried to shift them to believing in their ways of life and that, but it never took hold. And actually, if anything, the missionaries were switched out because they realized, oh my God, why fix something that's not broken? These people were so happy. But they were, very connected to the earth and understanding the earth in such a valid way. Now, okay, I'll just go into, sorry, I'm having a discussion in my head. Right, so we're going to go into the Patanas and how they actually lived. There was a guy that wrote a story about their language, because their language was so different, and the linguistics of the earth, the big, it just totally threw their linguistic understanding out the window, and they didn't even want to believe that this man had actually gone to the tribes. So he actually went back and they all welcomed him like they knew him. And he had videos anyway of him in 1970 when he went there. This tribe, the reason why my team had brought me to this tribe is because they had such a specific language. It was so different. They didn't have any numbers. They didn't have any color. They didn't have words for colors. They were very living completely in the moment. There was certain words that meant all sorts of different things, like the same word would mean for skin as it does for stranger, as it does for something else, they're just same word for so many things, but it was the tone, it was the feeling that you got off it, that you understood it. There was almost like a telepathic understanding of because they lived so much in the moment. There was no past, there was no future, although they did carry on anything that was important to their little tribe. They carried on, sharing those specifics. In other words, they knew everything about every single fauna, everything about that was around them, and everything about all the animals that was around them. You name it. Like they knew every plant how to do, and they passed that down to the children. All the children knew that sort of thing. They also had a part of their language that was whistling, where they would whistle like a bird, and everyone in the tribe knew what that actually meant. So, hey, do you want to go out for a walk in the forest and that sort of thing? And they would whistle it. So they had this completely specific way of speaking, but the most important thing that my team wanted to bring me to was living in the moment purely, because this calling, this ancestral calling, isn't just to do with us grabbing the past and copying it, or going to Mount Shasta and going to Talus and copying it. It's not to do with that. It's to do with us in the moment, who we are, what we've learned, how we've done all the shadow work and all of that, come back to living in the moment and sitting on with earth on the land that you're at the moment, and then asking to be taken to specific areas, specific places that align you even more with more awakening and that sort of thing. And then understanding that the messages that come through are an entwined message of your DNA awakening and the wisdom or the knowledge that you already have from the life that you've had before, as in the practical playing field of the environment that you've learnt as well. Things that aren't conducive to you personally, let them go. Things that are, that feel right, even if it's logical, doesn't matter. We're not, this is an acceptance thing. This isn't to do with all of that logic has to go out the window. We're going to learn how to do everything that the Lemurians did in the past, and we're going to recreate that. No, the reason why we've gone through eons of the logical movement and learning all about the environment and how to work with a physical practical playing field is so that we can integrate, and integrate will bring an even bigger playground and a different understanding, a different perception, a different awareness. And so, but you are now coming from living in the moment and empowered from who you are. And so you start, and they're showing me like an ignition or igniting of many other souls that remembering or they start to mirror that frequency that you produce, and then they will come into alignment of remembering the codes that you are remembering, but also bringing in the wisdom of what they've learned from their country, their reality in a practical playing field. So it's more of an openness of being in using the energies at the present moment with Earth herself. She's like, we don't want to go back to the whole reason why everything ended up going into the very physical world and very unbalanced, she knows, but because humans wanted to learn about that. And yes, it came with its own demise, it came with its own but there was a lot of lessons and learning through that. And it's kind of like, even if you go on with your life in this normal way, you wake up and you have an argument with somebody, right? And then you learn about yourself and the empowerment of who you are and what you denied. Would you want to go back to returning to the day before you had the argument? No, you wouldn't, because you've learned something out of this. So even though there was a lot of resistance because of the imbalance of humanity and what we've gone through, learning only about the logical side, there was also on the other side of the coin, not a fuller understanding of the practical world when we go back to Lemuria. So now we're learning to entwine them both together. So this present moment now with this ancestral calling is more to do with you awakening your DNA and then thriving on this planet with the wisdom that you know. Just like that tribe did, they live in the moment. We can take essences of them, not everything. You don't want to follow them exactly either, because you've learned a lot about technology and all of that sort of stuff. But you can go further with technology out of just the practical playing field and bring in quantum physics, quantum awareness, energetic awareness, and also the awareness of aligning your energy field with that, which brings in the wisdom of that quantum mechanics and quantum reality. So it's interesting, they're saying, calling it an ancestral calling. And your ancestors are definitely a part of this. Lemuria is a part of this. And you might feel a drive to go watch a video about Lemuria or Atlantis or whatever, or Avalon, but all those interdimensional spaces. But it will only be to a point, then you'll feel a feeling within you of, oh, I kind of had enough of that, and you put it aside. And then you go outside and you start to just feel into the earth. That's going to be when it really starts to take place, with you understanding your link with the energy field that you are in the moment. They're showing me the sun, the sun's energies that are now different. It was more love coming, more love frequency to awaken you. They're showing me all these different things to help. Definitely, if you are feeling like you need to go for a walk down a river or a certain place, and they keep bringing me to when I went to a 1,000-year-old forest, and there was 2 trees that and a glowing mushroom, and when I walked past that point, I knew I had entered into a combination of 2 different realities merging, and that's when the fireflies all came around and followed us for like good 20 minutes, lighting the path. And that they're saying you will spot it because it was an awakening for you, a calling, ancestral calling from the earth for you to awaken in that moment, to gain a better perspective of what it's like to go interdimensional. And this is, we're not just staying in the practical playing field. We can flip in the future, we can flip from one to another, but they want us to stay very present with this as we go along, because it can shift and change due to your awareness of, or your new perceptions enlightening and entangling with the wisdom or the knowledge of the logical self. It's something to do with an integration within you, and that, and to be very present with it, because otherwise if you just go towards the history of things and try to recreate something that was already gone, then you're going backwards. You're not integrating something new into this forward motion of being presently aware. Something to do with that. They said you could even pick a leaf off a tree and put it on your forehead. It starts talking to you. It could carry that one essence of something that is necessary for you to awaken. It goes beyond. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Yeah. So I just want to share with you guys how this is actually evolving for myself. I mean, being that I have returned home, but necessary for me to do this so I could give these talks for you guys to understand the returning back to the powerful. It's kind of like they're saying, if you were born to shift things, but you were naive in this reality, then you would lose a lot of who you truly were as a powerful, authentic self. And if you're now an adult and then you go back, then you can ignite that again. And Um, it's a hard, what's happening with me in my head? I'll just let you know an understanding of where I'm coming from. So I'm trying to step out of my ego. I don't want to go into my ego with this, and talk just about me and my journey, that sort of thing. But it's like my team keeps driving me there and saying, no, this is part of the message that you have to bring through as you understand, you share, and you help others. And so I'm kind of a little bit of resistance against the message and the fact of I'm talking about me, and I, it's not my game. I don't like doing that. So I've probably got to let go of that resistance and just let the message flow. But there is a definite feeling, it's almost an emotional feeling that I have with the land this time. When I left New Zealand in 1998, I was like, yay, good riddance. I'm happy to move out because I had nothing but bad luck the whole way through. I had terrible bosses, terrible relationships, terrible everything. It just was one after the another. And it just went, ah. And then I went to Australia in the last 20 years or so. I've learned so much about myself, my shadow self, and all of that sort of stuff. Now I've returned back to New Zealand and I see it from such a different perspective. And there's like they're saying this is the moment, but it's the moment for everyone because everyone is in this moment as well. As you talk, as you're listening to me, you're in this moment, right? And they're showing me a string, energetic, like these recordings. Actually show a ribbon of energy that keeps going so that more people in their moment can listen to me later when they're ready in their moment to hear this as well. But it's to do with connecting back to the land and wherever you are in this moment, whether it's at home, whether it's like your home that you were born in, or your home that you are living in, totally different country, doesn't matter. Something to do with the land that you are living in this moment, and seeing it through a different perspective of it. It always welcomed you with love because you wouldn't have been born if there wasn't a collaboration of the earth, the water, the sky, your parents. There's so much that was collaborating for your soul that said, yes, 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 we love, we love, we love, we love. Every single thing had to say love towards your soul, your specific soul coming in and being birthed. And then taking you on a journey on your in your life, wherever it is, whether it's going home in another country or whatever. And so in this moment, if we can all come together and then go out to the land and go, oh my God, I am that freaking special. I was so loved by so many things for me to even be here. So many things had to collaborate through love for me to exist, and still is, even in this moment. And it just, when I felt that, it was like an overwhelming feeling, and I just started crying because you feel so much love. The environment is part of that. And it wasn't just from an inner core out of I love who I am anymore, where I had to find that first for me to understand that my environment loved me just as much because it is a mere reflection. Well, they don't even like to say, I don't even like to say mere because it's belittling. It's not even, it is as is the same as my inner self. Reflected out. And so then to see it as its own embodiment, the earth as its own self, the water as its own, essence and soul riding through the water of this land, and the trees and so forth, having their own, just like another person has their own essence or their own soul. And then realizing it all came together for us to even be here gives us understanding of the magnificent of who we magnificence of who we are, the importance of us being here and being truly authentic to who we are and how we speak and what we say to the world, and not to ever be afraid like we were as we were growing up anymore. It's like a turning point, and that's why they're calling it the ancestral calling, because it's igniting the DNA and the physical body to understanding, really coming to the fruition of you being empowered as you walk on this earth, as you go on this earth, and seeing how far you have come, and like literally not you, just you patting yourself on your back, seeing that the environment is, because it's conducively always coming together to help you, living more in the moment, like that tribe that I was taken to. They just live so happy. None of them are anxious. There's no depression, anxiousness, or anything like that. They are just living in the moment. Yes, they have their disgruntles. Yes, they can get, oh, my wife's going to get up me if I don't get this hunt done, that sort of thing. They don't live in a perfect, absolutely perfect, but they are happy, and they constantly stay in that mode. And we are learning as Europeans that have lost our way and so out of balance with the way that we were brought up, to come back to that essence of self. They know their magnificence. They know their importance of being here, just because of how they're expressing and seeing, just because of their allowance of their perception living on this planet, or with this planet. Yeah, now it feels a bit better. I'm not resisting the message so much. So, yeah. And another interesting fact, I am going to take you guys on a bit of a journey while I'm here, because I know many that follow me have probably heard the story of when I was a child, my first UFO encounter with Pleiadians was exactly the same time as a Kaikoura event that happened, where a reporter went in a actual aeroplane, and then he got to actually video, and this is up on YouTube, the UFO that I saw as well back when I was 11 years old. And the strangest thing is, my parents have shifted from Christchurch to Blenheim, and that plane is literally just down the road. The actual plane that the reporter went in and saw a UFO from is just down the road, and I can walk in it. So I'm going to take you guys on a journey later on through that and tell you a bit more about that story, because it's just so like it's just awakens me to remembering, and maybe more channeling will come through as I walk through the plane. Because that plane was so close to that UFO as well, and that was recorded on the news. So that's really interesting how that's all taking place. I just love these coincidences. So yeah, talk about ancestral links, and here I am, like going to be walking on a plane that was in has a link to the Pleiadians when they came to find me back in 1978. Yeah. I mean, they were probably here for other things as well, but I just know from my perspective, they were like, yes, we found you. That's the one thing I do remember in my head telepathically when the light came up, because I remember thinking, who am I? Just, who am I? Like, I'm nobody. Like, really, I thought I was just nobody. And I was quite happy with that too. It's interesting. Anyway, so that's going to be an interesting bit of a journey that we'll all go on together, right? Yeah. Just got, okay. So yeah, I'll take you on a couple of trips, and I'll probably do that via my phone. But I've got to sort out a couple of internet problems on my phone. So that will be after my parents' anniversary, maybe next week or the week after. I'm here for 2 months, so that's going to give us plenty of time to explore New Zealand together. So I might be doing quite a few lives over the phone. or recordings anyway. I'll just see if there's any other. Yeah, there is. I keep pulling me to this importance at the moment to entangle your environment or your land. The land will share a lot more with you. The land will awaken a lot more in you. They keep bringing me that where portals will be found, and these portals are an integration of your awakening and the specific location of Earth that you're in or you're directed to. And they're even showing fauna where you might pick up a flower and that becomes the integration of the portal opening you up, and then all of a sudden a rush of memory or rush of feeling, a rush of something will come over you. If you get emotional, there's something there, because the emotions can come through a lot of love. And if a lot of love is coming towards you in that moment, it can be overwhelming because you haven't felt that much before. And so it just is overwhelming because you're feeling more. You're feeling more. But within those, when you come into balance with it and you can handle the emotions that arise from the feelings, then the emotions will die down, and then the feelings will they will stay present, and then you can tap in more to the information that your logical mind can, like the feeling will come with it. When things are telepathic, through Gaia being telepathic with you, being a flower, whatever, it can come, the feeling can conjure up images, with visions within your head, can conjure up understandings. Oh my gosh, I know this 100%, absolutes. And that is you, like more feelings, more love that's coming through you in that moment is actually igniting these dormant DNAs or dormant cells that are ready to ignite again. They're literally showing me, even within the physical body, there are dormant, I'm going to say, we know all about everything, dormant organs or dormant cells that have purpose and were never noticed before by scientists, because you could never see them. You can never understand their true essence or value until, because it had to be an inside journey. So your feelings ignited through this integration of your outside world and your inner world, or your body and your feelings, ignited these specific cells that were roaming around disguising as something else. They're showing me that is a mere reflection of humanity's consciousness, and the light workers hiding and just pretending that's the same as everyone else. And now they're awakening, and so now they're becoming more into their full identity of understanding. They know more, they have more wisdom, they have more understandings and that sort of thing. And then that in reflection is happening within the cells of your body as well, where cells that were just playing the game of pretending almost to be nothing much more than an ordinary cell carrying oxygen from your blood, from your heart to your brain to your whatever it is that cell was specifically, seen as in a practical world, of a scientific world, actually had within it more essence that would be ignited. And when you integrate your outer world with your inner world, the ancestral calling becomes you awakening. It's happening in the same time. And this is the reflection of humans awakening, cells awakening. It's exactly the same. And the authenticity of that cell was way more magical, way more, and could have more abilities to it. And when that acceptance happens within you, in your logical mind starts to accept it, you can play it out in this real world in real time. In other words, you can become the magician, you can become the magic, you can alter your reality, you can become telepathic, telekinetic, all those sort of things. There's something to do with an awakening of that, which was always present. It was always the original human blueprint anyway. And it was dormant because of the lesson that we had to learn just about the physical world and what we could create in the physical world. So yeah, so there's so much more. Let's see what else comes through. Wow, I love this. Yeah, so what have we got? I have a feeling I'll probably be taken somewhere else. I'll have to get my phone working out there so that I can take my phone out. But I have a feeling there's going to be moments where I just go, oh my gosh, I know something more about myself. So I might let you guys in on that as well as I go along, because it seems to me like my journey that I'm going on at the moment is relevant to many other journeys that are happening at the moment. I see life through a different perspective. So to share that, to awaken. And so I'll just do it. But yeah, I don't like to, I would prefer not to talk about myself, but that's just the way it is. So I have to just work that into it and get used to that. See what else there is. In the end, they're saying, in the end, there will be a natural gathering of people at exactly the same time doing it. They're showing me people who are connected or magnetized towards each other. Yes, they could be physically magnetized towards each other, but they could also be that you met them in the past or something, and then that magnetism, when you awaken, and say, for instance, I have a feeling one night to go see the sunset, then they all go see the sunset as well. And we actually are all integrally, oh, there's a word there, doing this together. We're doing it together. And that makes it even a bigger grid line. And they're also saying Earth is coming through with the shift of grid lines, the shift of grid lines. And this is why she wants us to be forever present, because there's also an awakening to more grid lines, where each and every one of us is awoken will become a specific point of an energetic point where others that pass that location can also be ignited if they are close to or near the same resonance as that. Show me the two tuning forks. You ding a D flat, and an A will not move. You ding a D flat, and if you're holding another D flat, it will vibrate even if it hasn't touched it and you haven't ignited it, you haven't hit it with anything. So in other words, you just hold a D flat in your hand and you ding this D flat, then that one will start to vibrate automatically. If you had an A in your hand and an A in your other hand and you ding the A, then the A will, well, if it's the same, it will resonate. And so they're showing me that. So when we awaken at a specific location, bringing in our environment into as part of our reality, not as a separate reality to who we are, then when we ignite, we leave an imprint in that space. And then anyone who walks past that is in close resonance, because then they will be awoken. They're showing me Mount Shasta, where lots of people have gone to Mount Shasta, and Talus is there. You know, the people of Lemuria are intertwined in another dimensional space and in a inner earth. They call it inner earth, but it's also interdimensional and a higher frequency. Um, Only specific people that resonated with their love frequency would be either, you know, taken into that city, or and then they disappear. So they leave because they've risen into the higher frequency, but they have to have already matched the frequency. So you could walk the mountain and not even know not anything about it. You'll just be like an ordinary person walking the mountain having a picnic, or you could have been someone who is in resonance and gets a huge awakening. And this can happen, you know, near forest, near you, in any sort of land. So that's why they're calling it the ancestral calling, because the ancestors live within you, within your DNA, within your body, within the food that you've eaten, within the water that you've drunk, and the air that you've breathed. It's all going to be ignited. Your outer world and your inner world is now coming together for you to live in this world and harness the magic from within to show others as well the specialty that you've come in with, the specialty that you are, and that will be ignited. So yeah, really cool. Okay, guys, I think that's enough for today, but yeah, it's really interesting. I'll see where they lead me next week. As soon as I let go of what's going to happen next, boom, they tend to be taking me to videos, and they said the reason why they're doing that is because they used to awaken me a lot with, I wouldn't watch anything. I would watch nothing. And then all of a sudden I'd be taken to something to watch. And when I'm taken to something different, then it would go with a dream that they'd already given me, a vision that they'd already given me, or something like that. So I knew it was part of the, hey, this is something you've really got to watch, or you've got to listen to that dream, or you've got to listen to that vision, that you see that vision that you had as something really important. So they're kind of bringing me back to how we used to work in the past. That's not just channeling. It's kind of like being taken to specific videos or something, and it awakened something within me to have a new awareness, or the channeling message to be relevant to that. So I will share the videos that I'm taken to as well, because I think that that's important. You might watch it, you might not see anything in it, but you might see something that awakens you as well. Because you're watching me, we're probably in the same energy alignment anyway, similar energy alignment anyway, especially if you're coming from your heart and love and all that sort of stuff for this information, then yeah, definitely. Obviously, if you watch me and you're jealous, then yeah, that's not going to work. There's something within you. You have to look into why you're feeling that way, because I'm probably showing something up in you that you need to take responsibility for and step into for yourself. Yeah, so it's sort of shifting a bit with me and how they give me the messages. And I think it's something to do with helping more people. And yeah, so anyways, I'll leave it with you there, guys. And what else have we got? I don't know what I'm exactly doing. Maybe I'll come live again on Thursday. I'm just playing this by ear because I do have my parents' 60th wedding anniversary coming up on Friday, and I'm helping out in the garden a lot. I'm like putting their house in order and doing a lot of work and painting walls and stuff like that. So there's a lot of like physical work happening for me at the moment because I want to help them heaps while I'm here. Yeah, which is really cool because I'm in the garden weeding and that. I'm like, oh my God, I got my hands literally in earth. And so it's helping me with the channel messages too. Love you guys heaps. Yeah, jet lag. Not too bad. It's only 3 hours. It took me a couple of days to get used to it, the different timing. and sleeping and that sort of stuff. The one to New York's going to be interesting because that's like a 14-hour flight. I don't even know how I'm going to handle that one. The plane I was in was so tiny. Claustrophobia. Anyway, but it was good. Everything went so smoothly. I definitely am looked after at the moment. Definitely. So yeah, I'll show you around a few areas in New Zealand while I'm here. I'll see if I can get out a bit more and take you to a few different places. Maybe some Picton is another place that's close to here. So I'm at the top of the South Island. I was born in Christchurch, which is, if you see the South Island, it's the middle bit. It's right next to the little bump that sticks out in the South Island. It's just up north from there. That's Christchurch. I lived in a little town called Kaipoi, and that's where I saw the UFO, and that when I was 11. Kaikoura is one jump up, and then that's just a lot of coastal line, and there's a lot of seals and that sort of thing, but I don't think I'll be traveling that far. And I'm at the top where Picton is, Blenheim, so we're close to the islands around here, and it's a beautiful spot. So I'll take you on some trips and maybe show you some friends of mine that are here. We'll see what happens if they want to be alive as well. We'll take you on a couple of journeys. Okay, guys, until next time.